Hey, it's John and Justin here for Developer Day number 25.
We're going to start with an interesting story about how our website was down when we got a significant amount of traffic. You'll see here on the status page, February 18th in the evening, Dick Eastman posted a quick blog post about a Chrome extension. And then the next day, we got a ton of traffic. Almost an order of magnitude more than Roots Tech generated. So you'll see here it says 2 hours and 44 minutes of downtime in one day. So if we zoom in on www and we look at the history, because it only shows one day, there's the day. It was down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. What was happening is when we took down login, we added a proxy for a data API. But we forgot to add error handling on those requests out. So whenever the connection got cut or it just couldn't make it because there was a blip in the network, it would throw an error and we wouldn't catch it and it would bring down the server. And then eventually it would get restarted and then later go down again. It was going up and down all day. And we only noticed because people were commenting on his blog post about how sometimes the website was just a white blank page and they're like, this is lame. So anyways, we finally figured out what was happening, added the error handling, and it's been up ever since. So we learned our lesson. We need to have alerts, which we still don't have actually. So we're going to get those in hopefully.
That's today's project as soon as this video is done, is to get all those set up.
We have monitoring, but we never see it. So.
Yeah. On the OPD front, slightly happier front, we are almost done getting the historical counties of the United States in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken a little bit longer than we were hoping because we couldn't use some of the data we were hoping to use. Originally, we were trying to use Newberry's historical atlas of counties or something close to that. But they had a non-commercial license on there, a non-commercial Creative Commons clause, and we were in contact with them trying to work out something to where we could use that for OPD and use it in Find a Record. We just can't wait anymore. So we went after the NHGIS data directly, which is kind of the census-based data provided by the government, which we can use in a commercial setting. And we got to thinking, and we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel as it comes to easily attainable historical data that's licensable, that we can actually use. Mm-hmm. A lot of the historical data is collected and mapped by educational institutions, which tend to release that data under a Creative Commons license, but they put that non-commercial component in there. So what we're doing is we're going to start tracing maps. So there are a lot of projects out there that kind of do bits and pieces of this. A prime example is the New York Public Library. They have maps of places in New York. And what they've done is they've done what's called geo-rectifying, where they have an image of a map and then they pick certain control points. They say, oh, this point is this point on the earth, this point is this point on the earth, this point is this point. And then algorithmically you can take that image, you can kind of warp it, kind of like what you see here, to make it fit, make it match when you're going from a hand-drawn map to what actually exists. The second component of that is the tracing, which we'll talk about in a minute. But this process right here, and this program right here is actually open source. And what we went through, took a good look at it, and found that it's actually using GDAL underneath the covers to translate that image into a VRT file, which is kind of a raw file format, and then it runs kind of a GDAL warp and twists that, and then it does a rebuild. Oops. So we're essentially going to take that small subcomponent, rather than clone the entire thing, which has Ruby and a lot of other languages in it, and just rewrite the piece we need to.
Yep, and then the map tracing, which would be another fun step, which we'll probably talk more about in the future.
Yeah,
a lot about, I imagine.
A star to the rescue.
Yep, but so this is going to require a refactor of OPD. Right now, everything is in one repo, the website as well as the API. We're going to split that out, so the website is in its own repository and domain, and the API also, so api.openplacedatabase.org, and then anything that requires authentication for modifying the data, such as the edit screen we currently have, and then this map warping, and later the map tracing, will be in its own domain and repository also. And this makes it easier, one, for us to deploy and scale and develop, but also for people to just install or extract pieces of it that they may want. And then we'll also eventually make it so that it's easy to set it all at once, so you don't have to clone and configure 3 different repositories, but just can do it all at once. But that's sort of a long-term vision, and we're hacking away at it one piece at a time.
Yep, and then we're also going to figure out kind of the technical details of how we want to allow people to contribute to OPD in terms of map tracing and being able to go in and contribute places. What we want to do is let people know on Find a Record that if you want something, if you want to know what records exist for a certain place that we don't have data for, it's usually because we don't have the historical boundaries we need to be able to display that in the way we search. So we want to kind of say, well, if you would like this, if you can help, trace a map and give us some of that historical information, we can go ahead and tell you what records exist. So we're also looking at kind of tightening that relationship between Find a Record and OPD, trying to get some of the Find a Record people there to help contribute to OPD and kind of help everyone.
Yeah. So, still having fun? This has been Justin and John, Developer Day number 25. Thanks for watching.